What did a crush do that made you instantly lose interest in him/her? Here's a light-hearted one. I developed my first crush when I was in 2nd or 3rd grade. This was right around the time when Pokemon were first becoming really popular. So naturally I was obsessed with them. I had the cards, the Gamma Boy games, etc. One day I overheard the girl I had a crush on talking to her friends at recess about how weird Pokemon were, and thus in a flash a young love was extinguished. Fast forward about 22 years and my wife also doesn't like Pokemon. Because life is strange. Threw rocks at a cat because she thought it was funny. That's no way to show appreciation to a funny cat. Was crushing on this girl for ducking months. And it turns out at her last apartment she stole $1,500 for coke and abruptly ended the lease, giving her 2 roommates barely any time at all to find new housing. One of which had to move back in with their abusive mother. Dodged a bullet. Told me she has a crush on my brother. I'm sorry Luigi, it just wasn't meant to be. Acting like a complete dickhead. And when I addressed it, he said I know I'm an asshole, but I'm really sexy like. Okay, suddenly, you're really not sexy at all. Lol sounds like something I'd say to my GF ironically for a cheap laugh. We were out drinking. He got drunk and started fighting a guy that he thought had been harassing me. The guy said he didn't harass me. I said he didn't harass me. My crush still tried to defend me. Never lost interest faster. He tossed an empty drink bottle onto a random lawn as we walked down the street. Oh man. That just pulled up a memory of a guy I was on a date with who keyed a random person's car for no reason as we were walking along. Awful. I worked up the courage to ask this girl to go on a date. She said yes. On the date, she proceeded to spend the whole time gossiping about anyone and everyone she could talk bad about. I still remember the moment it clicked that she was just super shallow and mean. This guy that I'd been talking to for a while on Tinder, who I thought was cool/cute, but he never seemed down to meet up. One time he randomly messaged me to say he'd gone over to someone's place and they'd had sex 3 times. I think he was trying to make me jealous, but it just made me feel a bit gross. He asked me to help him hook up with my best friend. Oh, that hurts. He was mean to his mom, demanded money from her so we could go out in front of me, and then called his grandma to get some more money so we could go out. So uncomfortable. Edit. Let me add more details. We were both around 21 over 22. I met this person, drove from the Midwest to Dallas with him, and was essentially stuck there for 2 days before my train was scheduled to leave. This behavior was not acceptable at all, and I felt uncomfortable the entire time. Turns out he never bothered to develop a personality because his looks and sporting prowess carried him through every interaction in his life. I didn't care about sports, so when I finally ended up having a one-on-one chat with him, the guy was a complete void. Couldn't talk about anything. Hadn't even developed the ability to ask questions because he was all too happy to just be praised and talked about all the time. It was so bizarre. He didn't really know what he liked, had no real opinion on anything outside of sports, didn't have any hobbies, and was generally just dull as dishwater. So he was a NPC. She asked me if I wanted to go to a concert with her. Then she wanted me to pay for both tickets that I knew she got for free. Promptly laughed at her and told her she can duck off with some other idiot. It's funny how fast the ugliness on the inside can overcome anything good on the outside. She did me a favor that day. Not something that she did, but her breath smelled like shit. Literally like shit. I misunderstood a comment, and he was a dick about it in front of a few people, laughing at my instead of kindly correcting me. What a duckhead. Didn't defend me when his friends tried to assault me, just laughed with them. This is the long version of the story. I have never been popular, was always bullied and stuff. One of the things people told me was that I was a prude because I never had a boyfriend at that point. Apparently, some of my classmates got inspired by that and started a bet Whoever could do me in, a slang word in my language that can mean anything from making out to 6, would win. Every contestant put in a certain amount of money. At the height of the contest it was about 100. That would be their prize. All of a sudden, I was invited to popular parties. People tried to make me drink. Random people started talking to me, flirting, groping. More and more people became aware of the bet, so even people I'd never talked to or who were complete strangers to me started to hit me up. It was weird. I was still in the dark about the bet and I didn't get why some guys, sometimes even girls, wanted to hang out with me or wanted to see me drink. Luckily for me I don't drink, but it was all very uncomfortable. My crush and I went on a school trip together with the rest of our year, and all of a sudden things get out of hand. People groping me, now the supervision of the teachers is half gone. People trying to ask me if I ever kissed someone. The most scary experience was when a couple of guys cornered me in the park and told me, very detailed, how they wanted to have sex with me. Some of them were my classmates. Some of them were friends of my crush. One of them was my crush. You can imagine how scared I was as a 15-year-old. No adults in sight. Only me and these 10, 16-year-olds. I was hoping my crush would defend me. He was a nice guy. Never laid a hand on anybody. Always friendly. But he just laughed. They were telling me how they would rate me and he laughed. It took 2 more months before another girl had the courage to tell me what was going on. She used the word doing, and I was too flustered to ask if she meant the light version or all the way. When I told the teachers about the bet, about all the people who were involved, about how no one told me anything about it, not even the girls. They told me I had no proof, was imagining things again, and that boys will be boys with hormones. What can we do about that? It all stopped when I got a boyfriend that very summer, who was 5 years older than me and would later turn out to be an abuser. He looked like he was 30 though, so I guess most of the guys got too scared to lay a hand on me. But yeah, that's how my crush lost my interest. Bully me to depression. It was a teenage crush. He had multiple girlfriends who didn't know about each other. Disloyalty is not cool. She was going to a party and I said, you seem pretty and enthusiastic about going. She replied with, don't use big words, apostrophe. Okay, you seem big sad. No won't go. Which one of you wants to be next, to make a reference to The Office. My interest was waning because he would brag about how he didn't read or see any point to reading. I thought I could maybe change his mind, but was on the fence about if it was worth it or not to try. Then I drove past him parked a street or 2 over from his place, just sitting in his truck, smoking. Thought that was kind of weird, but NDB. Except when I asked him about it later, he lied and said he was at work on the other side of town. And besides, he didn't even smoke anyway. Helped me decide he wasn't worth any effort after all. Interest gone. Edit. I guess I should give more context. I was in grad school at the time. Love reading and learning. Worked in a library and was planning on becoming a teacher. I felt like he'd probably had a bad experience with reading growing up, so maybe I could help him and bring him around. It's not that he just disliked reading. He was against reading. Like, ate his movie Bully reading is for nerds guy. That's so foreign to me that I didn't really think he was serious at first. Beyond that, we had multiple conversations about smoking, and he told me, unprompted, that he didn't smoke, hated smoking, etc. Then he lied about it later. Looking back, the whole thing was shifty and a bad fit. I'm not sure how I stayed interested as long as I did. Some guy I went out with kept trying to convince me to sleep with him even after repeatedly telling him no. Some people just can't take no for an answer. She referred to Mexicans as wetbacks. They look white. What she didn't know is that I'm part Mexican. Racism of any kind towards anyone is an instant turn off. Edit. Changed wetbacks to wetbacks and added an important detail. This is a serious response. He threatened to kill me and himself if I broke up with him. We were alone in the house and he was having some sort of episode where he spaced out, became robotic, and dissociated. This made him act very slow and lethargic. He had mental issues. I grabbed my stuff and ran. Never saw him again, but I know he was hospitalized. I'm married now, and he hasn't contacted me since. I actually hope he's doing better. Alcohol and cigarettes. We were 13 back then. Dude, she knocked over my Lego Death Star. She had to go. We are 8 or so, and he asked for a pen. So I gave him mine. He chewed on it. Instant turn off. Introduced me to her girlfriend, and said if she doesn't approve it's not gonna happen. At the age of 32. I said it's not gonna happen, then walked to my car and ignored everything she said and drove away. When I said I was legitimately suicidal and wanted to talk to her to get my mind off of it, she responded with "You're so self-centered" and "lol, do it pussy." And the best part is I thought we were good friends up until that point. Hey, thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe.